Duckworth.
Hello, everyone. So I'm here in Jersey, and Kathy's not in Illinois. She's
I'm in,
somewhere
I'm
else.
in, I'm actually in Colorado. Hi, doilies.
Hi, Doilies. I keep forgetting that too because it's such a cute name. I love it. I
Hmm.
think it's cute. Now, Kathy, when you go back home, there should be a package waiting for you.
I hope so.
I
There's
and
a
it's supposed.
package waiting for me and just more episodes of Republic of Doyle to catch up on. Although I
Yeah.
must tell you, I brought my Kindle Fire. Guess what? I was able to download the Roku channel, or the channel that shall not be named, and I was able to continue my habit of falling asleep to an episode and waking up and turning on an episode with my first cup of coffee.
Oh, we can talk about other outlets and other channels or streaming systems this time because I did not post this in the Acorn app.
Ah,
Although I have to say, I like me, that's one of the ways I can watch without any commercials. Now, you're using Roku. Were there any commercials?
there are commercials, but different generation here. Back
Yes,
in
I
my
know.
day, commercials serve a purpose, and that's when I
Yeah.
go and if I need a bio break or if I need to go get a snack, that's what the
Hmm.
commercials are for. And in Roku, you can fast forward through the commercials. So
Oh, nice. Nice to know.
it's
So
not an
that's
impediment.
yeah. All right. So we've got some friends here. We've got Christina. She's saying hello. And Jan is here. And Lois and Martha. And before that, Margie, she stopped in at the top just to say she couldn't be. She was actually here before me, just to say she couldn't stay, but she would come back at the end, which was so nice. All right. So hello. And I'm sure there's more of you here. You just haven't commented because I could see up at the top that we have other friends with us. So
Mhm.
we're finishing up. We're actually going to finish up. This book is so amazing. If you don't have it, I hope you could get your hands on it because there's a lot in it, and the photographs and are gorgeous, and some of it's
Incredible.
hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah.
and sometimes
And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. Go ahead, Kathy.
I was going to say it's the quality of the publishing, it's just out of
Yes,
this world. And it is so cons- uh, comprehensive in terms of the episode recaps. And
yes,
it's funny. There's so many little bits and trivia and character profiles, and we're not getting a dime from this. So this is
right.
really because we believe it's just such a fun book.
How we feel.
And I'm
Yes.
so sorry. I want more because they only did the first two seasons, so I want more.
I know, Carrie, what happened? So we did the first half of season 2, and now we're talking about the second half. Um one of the things that I wanted to point out that's from the book, well, there's many things, but I liked how we were introduced to some characters that well, at least one of them became, well, actually two of them became recurring. Like they came back more than once. One of my most favorite scenes is in this section, but the I'm talking about the new faces that they show here. See them? And they have like a little bio about here. So Allison, she shows up in not just this season, but a few others. And even the mayor comes back after this season and
Yes,
plays this huge role in the
final
end of
season.
the show. Yeah. And then of
Yeah.
course this guy, he cracks me up. We see him at the end of this season and then the beginning of season 3. But this one, she comes back several different times, and
And
what a wonderful
several different hairstyles.
she does, different colors even, and they don't address that, but I love that they don't address that
Well, they
because
did. There was one line that said, "Oh, you look good as a blonde." I think it was Mal. He acknowledged it. He may be the only
oh,
one.
I missed that. Thank you for
Yeah.
telling me that. Okay, cool. But I love her. So she's on my list. And that's something I wanted to ask all of you while we're getting ready to chat a little bit more. It would be nice, and if you don't know the actors or whoever it is, it doesn't have to be an actor. If you don't know the actors' names, you could put the character down, or if you want it, like I was thinking, like maybe you don't know the person's name, but the person who does the special effects. I saw a quick interview with with one gentleman. I'm not sure if there's a whole team. I'm sure there is, but wouldn't it be great if they came on, because there's some big explosions in this end of the season, and I'm like, I would love for him to be on to talk to us about that. That's kind of like fascinating to me. So
I love the
added it.
explosion. Did it really blow up a GTO, or was that a? It's incredible, some of the stuff they, and some of the, I find it, and I would love to have on some of the stunt people, because some of the stunts are done so cleverly that either it's the real actor doing a particular stunt, or they've edited it so well that you can't tell. So I think what those folks do is wonderful. Anyway.
Hold on. Jan is saying that I keep telling you gals that you've got to get together and do the summary of the rest of the series. Kathy and I just had this conversation, right? And what would be the only way that we would do it, Kathy? Well, first of all, they have to say yes to it, but what would be the only way?
Well, that was 10 minutes ago. I've forgotten already.
Remember to do the book. You said if we had access to all this beautiful.
Oh, we have access to the information and yeah. And the people and all the stuff we need to do a witty. It'd be hard pressed to do better than the folks who did those first two seasons, because that was their brainchild. That was their baby. But we love it almost as much as they do, I think.
I know. Mary says, "Love my book." We do too.
What's not to love? Yeah,
we love it. We have to tell Carrie that. Even if she can't pop on or come on, I would love to have her on. I want to send her an email and show her how much we love it. I should feature it on Instagram and then tag her too. She's Carrie Mack, I think.
And ask if there's any chance that they've got plans to finish up, do another sequel to the first book, because that would be ideal.
I know. I would love it. Mm-hmm. So, okay. So go ahead. Let's talk about some of the moments and things that you loved about these episodes. Like,
I think I'm going to break the first rule, because, I'm all about the moments. But when I was looking back at season 2, I'm like, wait a minute. There's one episode that I absolutely adore. And I think it's in the first half of the season, but it's The Special Detective. Oh my word, that is like my favorite, close to my, it's my second favorite episode of that season. So there are actually 2 of them. So the special,
it's actually 210. It is in this half. Here it is.
Oh, that's it. You're right. Okay. So Garrison Steele comes back. He is the biggest thorn in Jake's side. And he has written a new series called the Special Detective Series. And he used Jake as his muse. And the catch is this detective, Jared Boyle, I think is his name, something close to that.
Yes.
Instead of Jake Doyle. The detective is mentally challenged. And he makes it clear to everybody just based on Jake. And so in this episode, there's a scene where Jake is, walking from the office and out, and he's trying to be inconspicuous, but he's listening to Jake read from the book, which the excerpt he reads from in the episode is actually transcribed in the book. I thought I would die. I was laughing so hard reading this. He's got this detective pathologically crying like 8 times, and it was only 11:42 a.m. It's absolutely hysterical to watch the episode. So I love the interaction with Jake. And as Jake is coming across trying to be inconspicuous, he's like, oh, there's Jake Doyle, my muse for the Special Detective. It's just terrible. And Jake is mortified, of course.
I know there's the line, they quote it when they do it, and it says, it appears my muse has descended upon us, the original Special Detective, Jake Doyle.
Yeah. I don't even remember that's a moment. So I'm back to the moments, but I remember that. What was the plot of it though? What did he want this time? He wanted Jake to help him do something.
I think this isn't when he owed people money. What was this one? Hold on. I'm looking at it.
It's not when he was in the hotel and there was all the blood.
No, it's No, it's because he wants to have another book. So he wants to be able to follow him around because it
Ah,
says
observant. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because this is how it opens when Jake's walking by Mal in the office. Mal says, "We're in the red," and Jake says, "Good," and Mal says, "Red is bad." And Jake leaves, escaping further admonishment, and heads on through the Duke, and it's jammed with people and the crowd collectively laughing at something, and that's when they realize who's there, and this is why they're doing it. So
Yeah.
he gets to be, tagging along, causing issues as always, and always giving his 2 cents about, like, as he psychoanalyzes. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So that was a moment I adored, that Jay just walked into it, and that was the next epic adventure with Garrison Steele. The other moment I liked was right at the end, or close to the end, because for those who were shippers for Jake and Leslie,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she kind of cut romantic ties with them in season one, and they started dating other people. And yeah, they looked at each other a little bit wistfully a few times during season two. But it was in that episode toward the end when you knew there's still the end game. And it
Sure.
was like, so I just felt bad for them because Jake finished the case. I guess she helped him with it a little bit, giving him tips and stuff. He goes and shakes hands with the couple. And it was interesting because they show in the interrogation room, there's a couple who were separated. They were having issues. They didn't know if they'd ever be able to be together again. They're together again, and they're hugging and they're happy. And then they're juxtaposed with Jake and Leslie in the observation room, and they're both feeling very awkward. You can tell. And Jake's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Well, I guess I'll see you around." And she's like, "Yeah, I guess I will." And it's like, there's a moment, and he's mesmerized, and he's like, everything else falls aside. I forgot that you're with someone, I'm with someone. And he
Yeah.
just goes over and he macks her. And then he looks at her like, I mean, are you okay with this? And she was okay with that. And then the way they tore apart when someone came in the room, I was like,
Yes. Yes.
how did anybody not see that? Come on. But
Yes.
it
I
was
know.
it was just really cute because
They saw it. They just didn't see
they
it. They
just did
pretended
it.
that
Yeah.
they
I'm glad that Hood didn't come in because he would have made a crack.
big
But
deal.
that was the moment when, if anybody was worried that Jake is getting attached to Allison, and Leslie is going to be with the mayor, you knew, nah, they're going to be back together sooner or later.
This is also when she gets shot, remember? And she calls him.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. And
I
that was her
love
instinct
that.
to
And
kill
she's
him first.
crying. And
Mm-hmm.
he was supposed to have a special moment with Alice, and she's all waiting for him, and he just leaves her. He
He did.
exited and
He,
leaves.
he did look at the bathroom door a couple of
Yes,
times, but it
yes,
was like, nope. I'll
yeah.
say one thing. He was a playboy. That's the polite term that they used to use in my generation.
Mhm.
But once he fell in love, even though he maybe didn't acknowledge it that he was in love, that was it for him.
He does
I mean,
acknowledge
he
it
was with
though.
Allison. He was with Allison, but I mean, emotionally, his
Yeah.
emotions were with Leslie, and she came first.
Well,
Period. End of
what
story.
happened too was is he would have been with her if she didn't blow him off. And you had said this. You said that all of their issues all through their times was not because he did something to her.
It
It
was
was
her.
because she upset with
Her
him.
circumstance. That's
Yeah.
some circumstance affecting her. But after we talked about that, it occurred to me the flip side of that is every time they got back together, it was her who initiated it.
This is
He
true.
he he was patient, and she needs room. She doesn't want this relationship. That's fine. I'll back off. And every time he did, she was the one who came back to him. So it it was almost like she was the driver in moving their relationship forward. And he
Yeah.
was just patient, and it was almost like he knew deep down, we're going to be together. Like a playoff on, what was it? What season was that where the French speaking went on? Was that 3?
Yeah, it didn't happen yet.
Didn't happen yet. Yeah, they made a couple of statements to each other in French that
Yeah.
kind of told you the toll. So
Don't tell in case someone's not there. So one of the other episodes that I love is the one where he's got to get the money, that the money to, it's called Family Business. It says, Leslie, your timing for hiding in my living room and pointing a gun at me couldn't be worse if you tried. So he's in the house with that bag of money, and she's there waiting for him, and she's got her gun. She doesn't realize he's going to be there, but he is. And then he keeps advancing on her closer and closer and closer. And he
yep.
says, they have it written here where he says, I gotta go. And he pulls her in and he kisses her.
Mm-hmm.
And then he backs away and he says, I love you. You can shoot me later if you want. And he goes out the door. Well, she stops and she lets him go.
And she started crying. There were tears in her eyes because I think that was the first time he told her he loved her.
Yeah.
And if you contrast that scene with the earlier scene with Allison,
yeah,
and he just cut her cold. I mean, I don't think he was trying to be mean, but it was like, I don't have time to talk about this. This is important. I got to go. But he took that couple of moments to tell the truth to Leslie and explain what he was doing and why. And he told her he loved her. That was another, that was a pivotal episode, I think, for the two of them.
It was really good. I like Lois was saying all of the episodes with Victor are great. You were just saying that you would love to have him as a guest.
Yeah. Look, I still can't highlight. At one point I was able to highlight the comments. Janice did one at 8:17. It says interesting, Kathy, because yeah. So Janice, the reason I call him a playboy is there's a scene, and I can't remember, I think it's in the first season, where he's investigating what a husband thinks is a cheating wife.
Yeah.
He was in there being a total manhole. And the guy is calling and he's like, oh, you know what? Don't come in the door. Don't come in the house because, I'm on the case and stuff. And the guy comes in and he was absolutely appalling. He's like, you know what? We're not going to charge you for today. And, I'm not the only one. She's cheating with everybody. It was just not his finest moment as he runs to the car with his skivvies on and a pair of socks. That was just awful. But that's what I was thinking about when I said Jake was a playboy. He just, he was indiscriminate about the women he saw. And that started easing up when he met Leslie.
Yes, I agree. I like this comment that Chris was saying. I don't really care for Harrison Steele. He was always getting Jake into bad situations. I agree with that. It got on my nerves and I wanted to punch him.
I thought he was funny.
No, I didn't. He got on my damn nerves.
I don't remember which appearance this was, and it doesn't matter for the purposes of what I'm saying, but there's a scene in one of his appearances where he's with Des, and he's got to go somewhere formal, and Des goes, did you bring a tuxedo with you? And Garrison is there hungover or drunk, and he goes, of course I did. What do you think I am, an animal? But that's the Garrison Steele. I love that sentiment. You're an animal if you don't have a tuxedo in your luggage.
So when I was saying earlier, one of my most favorite scenes ever, and it's not the one, but one of them for all of the episodes is the one where he keeps walking closer and closer to her, like I was describing, and she's taking the money and he's leaving and she's got a gun pointed at him and he doesn't care. And that's when he kisses her passionately and he says, I love you. You could shoot me later if you want.
Well, later on in the episode, after things were wrapping up, he said, you can shoot me now. So they tied that little loop up.
I love it. So the other episode that I really like, and I find it to be touching because I just love Des, is Will the Real Des Courtney Please Stand Up? Mm-hmm. And this is when we find out who he really is. And they're like, it's funny because he's unofficially living in their house with them, unofficially. They're feeding him. They've given him a job. He is their family to them. Mm-hmm. And they're like, wait a minute. nobody even knows that much about him, and they, go crazy trying to save him, and that's when they officially allow him to move in. But that says so much about this show. This is why I love the show. And when I did that, I did something on Instagram the other day. It was this beautiful, I got it off of their site, this beautiful photograph of all of them, and I think it was taken towards the end of the series, and I cut it in half, and it's like, and then you piece it together, and it says that it's family's everything. That's one of the reasons why I love this. And family is not, oh, I gave birth to you, you're my husband, you're my wife, that kind of thing. It's just who they put into their little circle, and they really, really help each other. I love that.
Who
I
they
love
include in their republic.
Yeah. Jan is saying the episode she just recently watched, the one that you were talking about, where he's running and he's like, Dad, start the car, Dad, start the car. And he's running down the road. We get to see him in his skivvies there's one episode, it's not now, but when he gets tied up and he's got like nothing on, oh my gosh.
No frontal, but
Yes.
you got a quick glance at the trunk.
Yes. Yeah. Christina says that she loves Des too. I know. I just love, and so does Chris.
I like Des. He can be a bit much sometimes. Sometimes he's a lot, but in general, I like him.
Yeah. And he fumbles but I like him because he's sweet. He's such a good guy. And in that episode where he doesn't remember what he did, right? And they're watching him on tape and what's going down. And when he talks to Tinny is saying, he's like, what if that is the real me? What if I like it? And he doesn't come out and say, because that's the history with his dad, but that's what he's afraid of. And you see him really sad and vulnerable. And I love when she's like, give me a hug. And she backs up into him, put your arms through. And so he gives her a hug backwards, and she's got his arm. She stabs him and she draws his blood to take, because she wants him to do a toxicology thing. I love it because he's walking around there. I love it when Leslie gives him a break in every way, shape, and form. When they didn't know it was him, and because I love how they every once in a while they'll do this, where they start off in this moment and then they do this whole flashback that gets you back to that moment again.
Right.
And I love where they're all there, guns are drawn, and when she sees it's him, she actually puts her gun down. She's not even worried about him, even though he's armed and acting goofy. And then she even helps him out as much as she can. And she says, and Jake says, keep him here because they'll eat him alive. And she goes, I'm going to try my best. So he's got a blanket and his roll of toilet paper. His toilet paper. And I got to thinking, I've never been to jail, but my family members have, doing stupid things. Like all my girls, I've had to bail them out, every one of them, in the middle of the night for something stupid. But anyway, my point is, do you get a roll of toilet paper? Is that what they do? I should ask them. I never thought of that.
I have no idea.
Do you have to pee and go to the bathroom and
well, they have bathrooms in some of the cells. I mean, not bathrooms. Yeah. They have a toilet in some of the cells.
I know, but
I don't know how that works, and I don't want to know, especially not firsthand.
Now, Lois says Alan has been teased a lot about his nude scenes. Lois, you're just as passionate as we are, aren't you, about this show? She's very passionate. Look at that.
But he's the one that wrote them, so.
Well, he didn't write all of them, but he has a lot to say in them.
Yeah, he could have. He's. I like his openness. I like his willingness to put himself out there.
I made an observation, and I think I'm correct. This gentleman here, he comes in on scene, and I wanted to talk about this. Hold on. It's episode 205, so it's really backwards a little bit, and I apologize. Something old, someone blue. And he is right here. And if I'm not mistaken, is he later? I think he shows up in Son of a Critch. And he looks older, and he plays Richard, and they call him D-I-C-K. I can never say that word.
I don't know. I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah. And this brings me to this, that I have seen and I know we keep talking about this, but it still blows my mind because it's very not American. Okay. I think that might be what my issue is here. So in America, we want to be kind and loving to everybody when it comes to like show business or any kind of success. And often, if it's not your blood, even sometimes that your blood family or whatever, you don't find that you constantly are working with them. This group of people are constantly together. And I'm watching Son of a Critch, which is executive producer is Alan Hawko. I'm looking at the actors that are in it. Most of those actors have a part in this show here, in Republic of Doyle. I'm looking at the Perry Chafe is one of the executive producer writers. There's even I saw a name and I'm like, I know that name. It was one of their directors here. She directed several scenes and several seasons here in with Republic of Doyle. They are just Alan Doyle who does the music. They're all together, constantly working together, which I think is kind of cool. I think this is why
We
we
do that
love.
here too, though.
Pardon me?
That happens here too.
It does? With whom?
Yeah, you've got directors who work with the same people over and over again. This is an older example, but Jack Webb. He used the same actors over and over again in Dredd and Adam 12. And then you got some directors like John Ford who used the same actors over and over in his shows. I can't think of anyone current, but I know it happens because, you know, you see them on talk shows. Yeah, this is our 5th time working together. And, you know, yeah, it actually happens quite a bit.
I don't know. I think it's not the same thing. And I don't know. I just feel like it's a totally different thing. They're friends. They've been friends since they were kids. They work and live next door to each other. All of them.
One town.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody knows each other and went to school together.
And they work together. They constantly have each other in there. I don't know. I just love how it just comes up and recycles and repeats. Jan says, Roxanne, didn't you comment that someone had talked to Alan about his eating habits? Yes. Actually, Kathy and I just said this again with the jam jams. So there's this funny thing in here that we were reading and we were thinking about. She told me I should make them, and I was telling her how they package them. And he was on a talk show with all the different foods, and he said he hadn't had one in years because the guy's I can't think of the guy's name, but if you look him up on YouTube, if I remember his name, it's a Greek name. He's an amazing interviewer. He has a talk show. He's great. He's a cool guy, and he's had Alan Hawko on many times. And they give all of the food and put it out to the audience, and they all get like a care package. And he said to him, is it because Jake Doyle takes his shirt off a lot in this season? And he's like, yeah, and he laughs. Look, this is why I think it would be so much fun to have the guy who does all of the special effects on. What do you think? Would you all like that? Yeah. All right, go ahead, Kathy. I've been yamming around. I have a couple more things I want to share. Go ahead. Your turn.
No, it's as high as the Jake and Leslie fans were, like with episode 210. By the end of the season, things have gone downhill drastically again because of what Jake had to do in order to save Tenny and Des.
I know.
Yeah, hopefully things will pick up in season 3.
I know. It's sad because they both are they always wind up like they're both on each side of her. She's on the inside of her door crying. He's on the outside, and they're both very, 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 very upset. Streaming here in Akron, losing Wi-Fi. Oh, storming here. Lois says, yep, we know he does work out when he's working, but when he's off camera, he eats. It's true. He was even saying that, and he made like a Jig's dinner. I think that's what he called it. And then he was saying how he shows his workouts, when he's working out, he took a picture, a selfie or something. He's like, he hates it. He hates doing it. But I'm like, wow, you hate it that much, yet you do it. You know, you're like,
that's his instrument. I mean, it's like you have to know how to play any instrument, and that's what his is.
I know. Okay, so another thing that I love, and I like the scene. The whole episode is good. But what I really, really like about it is I like the end. So Allison is with Jake and they're on their way. I think it's this one, something old, something blue. This is when I was showing you the car blows up and she's like a serial engager and she wants to get married, doesn't want to get married. But at the end, they all wind up back at the house and they don't really know why. And it's for Mal and Rose to get married. And Leslie's with them, and he goes, "This is my family," and it's cute because they have a jacket for him, they have everything, and then they all just stand around. It's again, Des is there, his brother's actually there, he's there, Rose is there, and she likes it. Allison likes it, you know. I think I like it.
She was just not fated to be a Doyle.
It's true, but they do have great like affection and respect for each other, though.
Yeah,
they do.
It wasn't Leslie affection and respect, but it was affection and respect.
Yes, you're right. It's not on the same level at all. Okay. All right. So
and I like Christian, just as an added note, I really like him because he had a lot of layers and you kind of saw a different layer each time he made an appearance on the show. I love cut his hair. I much preferred him with the shorter hair, as you'll see in later episodes, but he was it just once you've met all of the siblings, you get it that Jake actually was the one who turned out the best, the most normal.
Yes.
Despite how Mal, picks on him. And he's the one that turned out to be the most normal because those other two are a hot mess.
They are, and actually they're the selfish siblings, it's not really Jake. I mean,
well, Jake goes all out, as you'll find out as the story unfolds. Jake, does everything for his family, for his siblings. He, you'll see that there's a situation with the Dukes of Duckworth where he does something with Christian, and Christian, slaps him in the face for it. I mean, he betrays him for it.
Yeah.
He goes out on a limb to save his brother so many times. And he took his sister's child in and raised her. I mean, you don't get much more committed than that. So he is, despite everything, he is the steadiest, most reliable of all the siblings. And I think Mal gets that. They pick on each other, but I think he gets it.
He does.
Appreciates it.
Or every season, at least one time, Mal will say something like, "You're good. You're good at what you do. You're a good detective.
You're a good man, and you care about people, and you help people." Yeah, he will.
Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out was I loved when I saw this episode and Johnny Harris was in it, that he played the realtor that was like into S&M and all kinds of crazy stuff. He really is a Newfoundlander. I wanted to say Lander, get that in. And he is from my show Murdoch Mysteries. And he's part of a crossover that they eventually do, but not this. He's hilarious in this episode and totally different. He's a totally different guy. He reminds me a little bit of Des when he's in Murdoch Mysteries. For any of you that watch it, you should let me know. But he is really creepy in this. And there's a scene. Is it in this one or I forget if he shows up again? But there's a scene where
shows up of him. There's a signage in front of a property for sale, and it's the company and face on there.
Okay. And there's a scene, and I'm pretty sure it's this one, isn't it? Or maybe I'm wrong. When they are pretending, Rose and Tinny are pretending they're going to sell their house, and they're walking up the steps, and he's behind them, and they're both like, "Ew." But he's watching them.
He was a piece of work.
I know. He really, 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 really was. All right. So I don't know. This season, when it ended, I was like, wow. I loved season 1. But I loved season 2 more. And then it got to the end and I was like, wow. And then season 3. Oh, I love season 3.
This is why I like binging. I get into shows that are done. I like it when and they drop all of them at the same time, and you can just I don't have to agonize, for a couple of months between season 2 and season 3. I can just go on through. Yeah, Janice, I totally agree with you. I totally agree. That's exactly what he does.
Yeah, he does. He does.
He's
Now,
kind of mature and immature at the same time.
I wanted to read this to you real quick, if I hope no one minds. So I just love it because it looks like it's on a Doyle and Doyle stationery. There's like a thumb, like a fingerprint up here. And this is a note at the end. After they get married, they're going to go away, Rose and Mal, on a vacation. And I'm dying because he writes to Mal writes to Jake, and he says, Jake, and I'll read pieces of it. Going to the airport. Rose and I will call whenever we get where we're going. Well, maybe we'll call if we feel like it. And then he has this whole thing about, you can't be living in my house because I'll kick your arse from here to Gander. But at the end, the thing that cracks me up the most is he doesn't put dad, he signs it Mal.
Well, they're more like friends than they are father and son sometimes.
I know, which I think is great.
Leslie told the suspect if he didn't do something, she was going to tie him to her car and drag him from the Gander. So that must be a real thing.
It is. It is. I love this. Look at this photo. This is such a great book. And season 2 is an excellent season. And I didn't think it could get better, and it did. And that's when I became possessed by this show. Just the moments, the hilarity of some of the things they said, and then the things that are just so touching, like that hot scene of, and how he's just so like matter of fact when he gets closer and closer to her, and she's still got the gun at him, and he kisses her for like all he's got, and then he says, he's going, and you can shoot me later if you want.
Yeah.
And she is like, yeah, okay, bye. And then the one where she's shot and she's crying on the phone, and and I'm like, why are you out torturing yourselves? Like, come on now. And there's a scene where she comes back to get her wound looked at, and Jake's ex-wife is taking care of her.
And you're having that little conversation. Do you think it's a change?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
It's funny. There's a comment. Christina says she loves the father and son relationship. And you know what? I think that is the real heart of Republic of Doyle.
Yes, that's what it's called.
I think that's the heart. And, it kind of opened with Jake and Mal, and it closed with them. And I think
it does.
Yeah.
I love that whole last line. It's amazing. Jake's dinner. I think that Alan had talked about it, that he had made it, and I forget what is in it. Lois is mentioning it, and it's boiled. I know that. So it is like, is it a beef or a corned beef? I'm not sure. And it has carrots and potatoes. Jake's dinner, also called boiled dinner or cooked dinner, is a traditional meal commonly prepared and eaten on Sundays in Newfoundland. Corned beef, cabbage was the favorite meal of Jig's. The central character in the popular, and I don't know, I'm not hitting it off. Like I'm reading something fast. So that's kind of like what it is. And I have to say that in the Son of a Critch show, they always say everything's always boiled. Everything's boiled. So they're going to try the cucumber.
There's no taste in it. The mom just throws this all food, into a giant boiling cauldron, and they serve it. And I think everyone's just used to it. There's no options. There's no alternatives. Yeah. They just eat it. It's just incredible. If you guys haven't seen Son of a Critch, it is just laugh right from the opening credits to the closing scenes. It's just hysterical.
I think though that when Alan was on, he was saying if you make it right, it can taste good because you put like pork, like I don't know if it's pork belly, but it's like the pork, fat with the pieces of the meat, and it's like a salt pork, and it does give it a flavor.
Yeah, that's in the This sounds very much like corned beef and cabbage. Like you have St. Patrick's Day. My parents used to make they called it New England boiled dinner. And it sounds exactly like that. So it can be very flavorful.
It can. Yes, salt beef. That's the word.
Mhm.
Piece of salt beef and
I
cabbage,
have
turnip,
fancy.
carrots, potatoes. Actually, now I'm hungry. I like that. I think it's
Mhm.
good. It comes from their Irish heritage. Yes, it does. Yes. Actually, my mom is very much Irish, and she made one of the best Irish stews. It's made with lamb and had dumplings in it. Oh my God. It's so good. So good. Yeah. Yeah, the cucumber episode was hysterical. Mary, you're watching it. If you haven't had a chance to watch Son of a Critch in the United States, it comes on Monday nights on the CW. It's episode 5 just aired, and I loved it because I remember it's when they get to see Princess Diana and her husband, and they're talking. It's like we get to see it, after the fact. They're talking about their marriage, and the father, the grandfather says the worst things ever. I noticed that in Newfoundland, they get away with some things that we don't hear in America, which I think is funny, certain language and stuff. And some stuff gets bleeped out, but some makes it. The stuff that the grandfather says is outrageous. Yeah.
I love the the confidence that the little boy has when he's at a funeral. He just develops a whole swagger. He feels confident and comfortable there. And just like Republic of Doyle, which has the serious moments, the drama and the comedy, so does Son of Critch, because
Yeah.
my heart breaks for Fox, the girl Fox, not the
Yes.
brothers. And I thought there were so many places in the first episode. First, when he first woke up and he said, "Yeah, you haven't lived till you see an octogenarian." My grandfather washed himself like a cat. He starts to drop his trowel, and the little boy just like getting out of there. And the other part of that was when he got on the school bus.
You can't even talk. He got off the school bus.
A student was on the bus with
Yes.
this little boy. Was that one of the Fox brothers?
I don't know.
And the little boy's like, "What are you looking at? It was just, it's absurd. It's absurdist comedy. That's what it
It
is.
is. It
And the
is.
nuns and the principal, oh, everything. This Mark Critch is a great writer. He's very
Yes.
good.
It's from his memoir, Son of a Critch. I
Mm-hmm.
love it when speaking of Steve was so mean as Dad Fox. At first he is, and he says, Steve said, you'll learn more. You'll get to see more from him to understand some
Season
stuff.
two. Yeah.
He was very mean and abusive when we saw him. But I love it when Steve was telling us, one time they had to go out and pick up years ago, they had to go pick up, Mark at his house. And he said it really was out in the middle of a highway. Like, how do you get in the driveway? How do you pull in? Like you get run, you're going to get run over. And so when I was watching it this last night and I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, it really is like that. Zoom, zoom, zoom. And that's hilarious. Oh gosh.
It's a funny
All
show.
right. So, do you want to do a quote? Because I have a quote and I'm going to give out a prize. And if you give me your address when you win, I will send it to you. I have something, I'm not going to tell what it is. And it's something small, but it really is merchandise. Whatever's kind of out there and left, I got my hands on some from the show. So let's see if we could do a quote. It's either from season 1 or do you want to, oh, you don't have the book in front of you. It's either from season 1 or 2. I want to know if you know who said it. Let's see. All right. Oh God, there's so many fun things. I'm not picking this one, but do you remember the Chip episode? Oh, hi, ladies. I love this show. Cool. We got Tracy here. We're going to share that in 1 minute. When the girl, her name is Wiggs Dinner. That's her name, her street name for her she makes records, remember, with the red hair. And she says to her father, Dad, I'm not doing drugs. I'm just selling them. He burns it all up in the can or something. Okay. Let's see if I can pick out something. Oh God. Let's see. All right. All right. Who says this? Who's talking to each other? You're going to know this. This is easy. You got a second shot at life here. Figure out what you want to do with it. You're old. And then the response is, you're stupid. I want to know who says you got a second shot at life here. Figure out what you want to do with it. You're old. And then who responds with, you're stupid. If you could tell me, I got something to send you. And while we're doing that, let's put this up. Hi, ladies. I love the show Republic of Doyle. Where did you get the book about the show Republic of Doyle? I would love to get one. Thank you very much in advance. Have a wonderful night from Canada. Well, Tracy, hi, Tracy. So I also want to tell all of you, I need for you to, every time you're out on social media, to tag Perry Chafe and to tag Alan Hawko and say, we need the movies. And we got this off of Amazon, but we bought them all. Whatever they had left, we all purchased. So you have to Google it, and there's some other places where you can get it. You got to Google it. All right. So Jake,
Janice was the first one.
Janice was the first one. Jake said it to Mel. All right, Jan. I'm going to, you know, I don't even have to mail it to you, Jan, because I'm going to see you on Saturday because you are coming to our Chris McNally function. Woohoo! All right. Okay. This has been fun.
As always.
Fun.
So next week we start season 3?
Yes. Unless we have a guest. We might have a guest.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. Yes, we might have a guest. And nobody said what they would like as their guest, so we're going to choose them. All right. Oh, yeah. Aren't you supposed to say, yeah, yeah? Isn't that how the song goes?
Yeah, I actually thought those were the only lyrics, but Roxanne said, no, that's just part of an entire song. I was like, it took 7 people to write this? Come on.
And I said, oh, no, there's this whole thing. Not going to be a pincushion, you know, like whole thing. Crucifixion, pincushion, whatever. All right. This has been fun. Go watch Republic of Doyle. Go on social media and make sure you tag Alan Hawko and Perry Chafe and say, we need the movies, because they said they would make movies. All right. Good night.
Until next week. And those of you who have access to the CW, check out Son of Critch. It's so good. And even if the first scene doesn't capture you, just keep watching. It's worth investing the time in.
This last episode made me cry. It was good.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's good. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.